What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Evolved Jeeping channel, and thanks for checking out today's video. This video is actually a discovery video because, as mentioned in the intro for today's video, what we're going to be doing is taking a look at some of the negative stereotypes that exist behind the dual steering stabilizer accessory that you could add to a Jeep platform. Dual steering stabilizers have actually been an accessory available for many years. I'm not sure, but I believe they might have existed in the YJs and the CJs. I know for a fact they did exist for the TJs and the JKs, and they are currently now available for the JLs and the JTs. Unfortunately, the dual steering stabilizer has a little bit of a bad reputation, and I believe it's because of two negative stereotypes that exist in the market. The first negative stereotype has to do with the fact that a lot of people believe that these dual steering stabilizers are actually not effective on the Jeep platforms. This is actually super surprising because dual steering stabilizers are actually very effective and common on a lot of the Super Duty pickups that are in the market. You know, on Ford F-250s, 350s, 450s, some of the Dodge 2500s and 3500s, dual steering stabilizers are kind of common on those. And in fact, some of them actually come with them from factory. So I'm kind of surprised that in the Jeep community that dual steering stabilizers are considered not to be effective. This is something I have heard many times. I've read it online on a bunch of different forums. I've also heard it in person. And to tell you the truth, guys, this is one of the main reasons I have never gone ahead and installed a dual stabilizer on any of the Jeeps I've owned. It's kind of just been because of this word of mouth. The second negative stereotype that actually exists in the market that I've heard a couple times now about the dual steering stabilizer setup has to do with the fact that a lot of people consider this type of setup old technology. This is actually kind of true. But the reason they feel it is, they feel that with the new technology of the through shaft designs, the through shaft steering stabilizers that now exist that are actually available in non-adjustable and adjustable, that the through shafts are more superior than the dual steering stabilizer setup. Again, I am not sure if this is true or not. This is just something I've heard, but I am super excited to test this out to see if that's actually true. I'm also super excited to test out the whole stereotype about whether the dual steering stabilizer setup is actually effective on the Jeep platforms or not. The plan for today's video, obviously, what we're going to be doing is installing a dual steering stabilizer on my 2019 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. The steering stabilizer that we're going to be installing is the MaxpeedingRods Dual Steering Stabilizer setup that is designed for the Jeep Wrangler JL platform and the Gladiator JT. So we're going to be installing that on today's video. And of course, what I will do is also show you the step-by-step process on how to install that. So if you are looking for information on how to install this kit, you will be able to see it in today's video. Then once we finished installing that kit, we're also going to go ahead and do a little bit of a comparison where we're going to compare the dual steering stabilizer to the through shaft design to see how they compare and also kind of see if these stereotypes actually exist. The one thing that's also cool is during this comparison, we are also going to be using a baseline and comparing it to the stock steering stabilizer. So I managed to pick up a stock steering stabilizer that I could throw on just for this video so that I can show you guys a comparison among the three types of stabilizers that are out there. So yeah, really excited for that. The goal for the comparison is not necessarily to tell you which stabilizer you need to go with. The goal is really to kind of just show you guys information that's going to help you make a decision on which stabilizer you want to add in your Jeep. Also, I guess part of the goal is also to kind of break some of the stereotypes that are out there to see if they actually are true or not. So that is kind of what I'm trying to do. I know this type of video is information that I would have loved to have had before. I would have loved to know if the dual stabilizer was good. You see a lot of those kits out there that are cheap and affordable, and I'm curious if they're actually effective or not. So hopefully this video is going to do that. As this is a discovery video, if I do come across something that is defining and kind of states whether a stabilizer should be used or not, I obviously will mention that in the video. But for now, the point of this video is just to give you information. So before we get into installing the dual stabilizer on the Jeep, what I'm actually doing right now is actually driving around a little loop in my area to kind of get a baseline on how the through shaft steering stabilizer that I currently have on the Jeep performs. The through shaft steering stabilizer that I currently have on the Jeep is actually the TerraFlex Falcon Nexus 2.0 fast adjustable steering stabilizer. I currently have it set on the firm setting, and with my current setup that I have on my Jeep, which is the AccuAir 3.5-inch dynamic lift kit and 38-inch by 1350 R20 Nitto Ridge Grappler tires, this stabilizer is actually quite effective. So what I'm gonna do now is drive around and show you guys some footage of how it performs. This route that I've chosen has a little bit of different areas in it. It has some rough areas, which I will hit those at higher speeds so that you can see how the steering wheel goes. And then we also have some smooth areas with some bends, just to kind of give you an idea. Obviously, my goal is to kind of hit every pothole I can to show you guys how the wheel performs based on these impacts. So we're actually coming up to a rough section here, and I'll show you guys some footage. So I'm about 40, 35 right now. And what's really impressive is I can do this one hand. I really truly don't feel any vibration or forces in the steering wheel. A lot of the forces I'm getting right now are my shocks taking the hit and just bouncing into the Jeep. But in the steering wheel, it's nothing uncontrollable. Everything's very, very smooth. So it does show that the through shaft design, or the through shaft stabilizer that I have on the Jeep, is actually quite effective at this time. So again, hitting some good bumps and slow motion, and the steering wheel one-handed, no issue. You can see it in both my footages from the facing forward and back. There's no real pull. I don't struggle with the steering wheel with this stabilizer. Just waiting for a light to change here. So even one-handed turning, there's no real issues that I see or feel, sorry. Okay guys, so I have done this loop a couple times. Obviously, I hope the footage I've shown gives you an idea. What I'm gonna do now is we're actually gonna run back to the garage, and I'm gonna throw the stock one on and do the same loop to collect the information before we go ahead and install the dual stabilizer. So let's head on back to the garage to get that stock stabilizer installed. Well guys, as you can see, swapping to the stock steering stabilizer was super easy, just 4 bolts and then I put the stock one in. I have to say, as soon as I got the stock one in and left the garage, I could already feel the difference in the steering wheel. The steering wheel is a lot softer, like squishier. When I turn, it's just very loose. It's not as firm as the firm setting as on the Falcon adjustable steering stabilizer. This one's definitely a lot softer. Coming out of the garage, I did notice a little bit of death wobble at a slow speed, which was interesting. So it's going to be interesting to take this on the little route we've created here to see how it performs and get an idea. I can say already, guys, if you have larger tires, don't go with the stock steering stabilizer. Definitely need to upgrade it. What we're hitting right now is the rough area. We're going to hit this at 35 to see how the steering wheel does. So you can see we're getting a little death wobble there if it hits the bump in a certain way. It's not all the time. It seems like it does drive through it, but I do get it a little bit on certain speeds. So interesting. Definitely shows that the Jeep or the stock steering stabilizer can't handle 38 tires. It definitely seems to not be able to strong to recenter it. Sometimes it recenters, but not all the time. So definitely a lot weaker. So it gives me that idea that where the stock steering stabilizer is compared to the through shaft one. The through shaft one definitely outperforms a little bit. So let's get on this next part. So you can see it even just in the steering wheel when I hit certain bumps, it just wants to go back and forth. It doesn't center itself like it did with the through shaft one. You're definitely feeling everything in the steering wheel. If I were driving this all the time, I would definitely be 2 hands the whole time and probably tapping the brake a lot just to get it to stop. So it's way different than the upgraded steering stabilizer. So let's just go through here. This is the smooth section with a few potholes. I know when I hit some of these potholes, it's probably going to happen. Not that bad. Definitely not that bad. It's there. I think it happens more at slow speeds. Yeah, so then we get the death wobble going on. And she just increases until you slow down. So definitely get the death wobble with the stock steering stabilizer. So now that I have done the route a couple times, only did it once on camera with you guys, but I've done it a couple times, I now have a good baseline for the stock steering stabilizer for the comparison. So what we're gonna do now is head back to the garage and we're going to start the installation of the dual steering stabilizer. And during that installation, instead of just speeding through like we did with the stock one, we're actually going to show you guys step by step on how to install it. And that's going to start by showing you guys the components that it comes with. So here are all the components to the dual steering stabilizer kit from MaxpeedingRods. This kit comes with 2 identical steering dampening shocks. So we have these shocks right here. I have to say these shocks are actually pretty impressive. I love the matte black textured finish that they've done with them. And I also do enjoy the fact that they went with a simple graphic printed on the body. They didn't overcomplicate them. The shock bodies look to be about a 2 to 2.5 inch diameter. And the inner rods look like they're a 3/4 to 1 inch diameter. So overall pretty beefy. Look forward to seeing how those perform. We then have our sleeves for the bushings. So we're gonna press those into each of the bushings on each side. So we have 4 of those. We then have our mounting hardware for the shocks. So that's how we're gonna mount them to all the brackets. For the brackets, we have the first 2 brackets, which are our tie rod mount brackets. These are 2 opposite brackets. One is for the left side and then the other one is for the right side. Each of them are labeled R for right, and then this one does have the left right there, so you can't really mistake which one's supposed to go on each side. To attach those to the tie rods, we have our U-bolts right here. So we have 4 of those. So those are simply going to clamp around the tie rod to hold the bracket in place. Then to attach this entire system to the axle, we have our main axle brace or bracket right here. This is designed to simply mount right up to the axle like that. And then we're gonna mount our steering stabilizers on these front 2 bolts. To mount this, we're actually gonna utilize this U-bolt right here and some of the provided factory hardware that came off the Jeep. This system also does come with a cover to cover the center mounting point, so it's just going to mount right there, and that's going to cover the mounting or the center locations for the shocks. The kit does also come with this catalog right here. It's just like a simple brand catalog, kind of shows you, who the brand is, about them, who they've worked with. It's just a nice little information booklet. They also provide this 3D effect sticker, kind of cool, chrome effect with some orange. Some people might like that. For me, I'm probably not gonna throw that on, but I know some people like that. Then the final thing we have is our instructions manual. And of course, this is something that's needed. What's useful about this instruction manual is this list of parts. From this list of parts, I was pretty much able to figure out where each of the components go. And the good thing about that is that was useful, because when I started reading their instructions, unfortunately, their instructions were not that useful. I have to say, I read this a couple times, and every time I read it, I couldn't make sense of it. It didn't line up to the parts list. Overall, just not the most effective instructions, and definitely think that the brand could improve that. Luckily, I have a pretty simple understanding of how this is gonna get installed. I've seen them installed, and I look forward to, kind of doing it. So if you wanna know how to do it, just follow along in the steps I do in this video. So guys, we have the dual stabilizer kit installed in the Jeep. Overall, installation was a piece of cake. Very straightforward, not hard, not complicated. If you follow my instructions in this video, you should easily be able to do it for yourself. So I have driven around a little bit with it, and I do have an opinion of it already, but what I'm gonna do instead of giving you that is I actually wanna take you on a drive here to show you guys what it is and kind of let you guys make the decision on your own, because I think it's gonna be very clear on how this kit performs. It's gonna be pretty clear to you guys. And I don't think it's worth me telling. So let's do this and we'll show you. So we're getting onto the rough road. This is the part where I went 35 miles per hour. I'm gonna try and do that and see what happens, but I'm gonna be hesitant on it. You can see I got two hands on the steering wheel. So there, it's okay. But as soon as I hit one wheel in there, it's actually not that bad right now. Let's see what happens. So, and here it goes. So you can see, guys, I get massive death wobble. Unfortunately, for some reason with the dual stabilizer kit and my 38-inch tires, it just does not work. Yeah, it's huge death wobble. Right now, what I'm gonna do is probably not drive any faster because it does seem to happen pretty extensively. And honestly, it kind of feels like the Jeep doesn't have a stabilizer on it at all. It feels like the vehicle's not aligned. It feels really, really bad. I have to say, based on doing this comparison test and now having this installed, that the dual stabilizer system is definitely worse than the stock system and way worse than the through shaft design. So unfortunately, it means that, and I said I wasn't going to give you guys, you know, I was just gonna let you guys decide, and I think you could now, but I do have a result of this little discovery test, and my opinion and my thoughts are, do not buy dual stabilizers for a Jeep Wrangler JL or Gladiator JT, especially if you have the larger size tires. These kits don't work. And yes, maybe it's just because the MaxpeedingRods kit is not designed for this heavy of a tire, and maybe it would work with a stock tire, but to be honest, I don't think it's worth the investment, especially with these through shaft steering stabilizers that exist in the market. You should definitely go ahead and just grab one of those. It's unfortunate, and I do have to thank MaxpeedingRods for sending me this kit and giving me the opportunity to test this kit out. I do have to thank them for that, because without this, I wouldn't be able to create this content, and I wouldn't be able to discover how the systems work. I honestly had high hopes in this kit. After installing it and seeing it in place, I loved the look of it, but unfortunately, the performance isn't there, and I couldn't recommend it. Unfortunately, I couldn't recommend it. So yeah, this kit, not one to buy, and based on the results I've experienced and, you know, this after doing this test and comparing all three of these stabilizers, I have to confirm that the negative stereotypes that I thought existed are not negative stereotypes. They are more facts. Dual stabilizers on a Jeep Wrangler are not what you should be installing on it, and dual stabilizer technology is technically outdated technology, because these ISF, or sorry, not the ISF, the through shaft steering stabilizers that now exist are way superior than the dual stabilizers that are out there, and way superior than the stock setup. So definitely confirm that the two things I was trying to prove, that if they're right, are right. So those are right. You know, you should not be running a dual stabilizer system on your Jeep Wrangler, and go ahead and buy the modern through shaft stabilizers. At this point, guys, I am not even going to make another trip around, because for me, I actually feel like this is kind of dangerous. I have to come to a complete stop to stop this, and the death wobble that I get is so extreme. It's more extreme than anything I've ever gone with any setup I've had. So I'm going to drive right home to get this taken off and put the through shaft design right on the Jeep. So yeah, I got nothing else to say, guys. I wish I could recommend this product. I'm sure Max Speeding Rods has some other good products, but unfortunately this one is not one I would recommend. And I should have mentioned during the installation there was a few hiccups too. I had to drill out a hole a little bit so I could align a bolt, and the fit around the axle isn't that great. So overall, yeah, probably not the best product out there that they offer, but it is what it is. If you have any questions about anything I have shown in today's video, if you have questions about if you want to see content about the TerraFlex Falcon Nexus 2.0 that I installed, make sure to check out the other video where I did the installation. Check out that one. For this product or anything, I will put links, even though I'm sure most people won't check it out. But do check out the Max Speeding Rods website. They do have some good products on them. I'm actually going to be doing a video in the future about one of their new lights. It's actually a really cool light. Can't wait to show it to you guys. So that will be another video that will come out soon. Yeah, if you have any questions, post it below. Hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully anybody who is considering buying a dual stabilizer system now knows not to do it and just simply go ahead and buy one of those through shaft ones. It's definitely worth the investment. Yeah, guys, at this point, guys, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Keep evolving, and we'll see you guys on the next video.